But this time, Dick Lyons and I were both badly fooled. Tell us just how the hell it feels to get the stuffing beat out of you 3 times for the presidency. The great commoner met the situation nobly. He said, Senator Pettigrew and my pioneer Dakota friends, let me answer this statement by quoting your own Dakota proverb. When a man sleeps on the ground, he has no danger of falling out of bed.
Well, actually, I just had the occasion with my wife to visit the Pettigrew Museum in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My nephew Will and Jane took us there. And you would find it of great interest if you did visit that museum. And from what we know, he in fact was a lifelong and close friend of the Lyons family. Well, next I would like to introduce my mother, Mary Donahue Lyons. She has been associated with the Lyons family since the flapper period in the 1920s. And if my mother were a tree standing firm among the cottonwoods, it would be seen that someone had carved 93 annual reams about her, forging Time's signature upon her trunk and making it seem as if she were growing not older, but wiser. My mother applies to herself the same principle she uses on her 1964 Dodge Dart, which she still has. Better to wear out than rust out. The car has only 55,000 miles on it, but my mother's odometer has turned over many times.
I don't believe quite all he said, but we'll let it go. Greetings. I see many familiar faces, and am delighted to see so many unfamiliar ones. First, an Irish blessing. You are not as young as you used to be, and you're not as old as you're going to be. So watch it. I was born in Ivy City, Iowa, one of 6 children. I am Mary Carmelita Donahue Lyons. We lived in Nolan Settlement and went to the Nolan Country Church, which is still used periodically. My father was a tall man, and he had a cousin who was shorter than he was, and they were both named Jim Donahue, which made many mix-ups. So in order to distinguish them, they called them Big Jim and Little Jim. And that stuck with them the rest of their lives. I have to find my place here. Then, later on, we moved from South Dakota, from Iowa to South Dakota. There were just too darn many Irish in one place. Stay away from them. Where's mine? Well, that's so we moved to South Dakota. We moved to Yankton in 1910 and bought a section of land on what was then considered to be the prairie. You could hear the coyotes howling at night, sort of scary like. We farmed with horses at first and milked 50 cows with a milk machine. That also was a novelty of the time. I graduated from Yankton College in 1920 and was a teacher later. At a dance in Lake Indy, South Dakota, I met a fellow by the name of Bill Lyons. He was at a fireman's ball. He wasn't a fireman, so I don't know what he was doing there. We didn't have good cars, good roads, no money. So the romance was rather slow. By the way, Wagner's 60 miles from here, which would be considered quite a distance at that time. Eventually, we did get married, and it stuck around until we had 7 kids. We raised a family on the farm east of Yankton through the depression, the drought, the grasshoppers, good times, and hard times. But we survived. May the blessing of the rain, the sweet soft rain fall upon you, and the song of the minute alarm through your ear. I think I forgot to say something a while back. After Bill died, I moved into Yankton. And as I mentioned before, we had 6 sons. You know what? They had 6 daughters. So, enjoy yourself.
We're going to have later a recognition of my Aunt Mary, who is the sole remaining granddaughter of Jeremiah. So I haven't forgotten you, Mary, but you're coming up shortly. Mother, I must say that as agricultural people, we generally use kind of agricultural terms, so I think that for you, you are the most fit in your category. About a year and a half ago, the mailman delivered to our house in Cambridge a somewhat faded copy of an article with the title Cherokee Bill in Oklahoma, written by cousin Thomas D. Lyons, formerly of Carthage, South Dakota, and a brief note which said, "My brother Francis in Vermont forwarded the material you sent to him. You might enjoy this article." It was from Tom's nephew, Mark Lyons Peisch of Tenafly, New Jersey. Mark is the son of Joe Lyons and Arch Peisch, and the grandson of Dick Lyons. And that thoughtful note led to a few more similarly brief exchanges and my discovery of the rich treasury of essays of Tom Lyons. Having worked with his writings over the last year, preparing them for publication, I have derived great satisfaction in knowing of this cousin, the chronicler of our family, and also the judge in Oklahoma. But it is only at this reunion that I have had the added pleasure of meeting the man who first introduced me and you to Tom and our family heritage. Mark and Claire came nearly 2,000 miles to join us today, and I'm sure bring us more tales of our uncle and our kinsmen and plainsmen. So Mark, we welcome you and Claire back to South Dakota.
Thank you very much, Bob, and Claire and I are delighted to be here today. This is really familiar country for me because you may not realize it, but I'm a graduate of Vermilion High School, class of 1939. And I will not bore you with the details of why I attended VHS. They're all down in this great collection of Thomas Daniel Lyons' essays, which originally appeared in the Commonweal magazine. And I have to refer to him as Bob Lyons of Cambridge, Massachusetts, because there are at least 20 that I know with that name. But he's done a grand job. He's had the South Dakota stories published, and now the Oklahoma stories. And maybe we'll even get some of the tales from Notre Dame, where my Uncle Tom attended his undergraduate college and wrote for the literary magazine at Notre Dame. I think I would like to tell you maybe one Tom Lyons story. He was a remarkable man. He faced many hardships, many sorrows in his life, but he faced them, I think, by his writing, and he overcame them beautifully. I wouldn't say that he was a vain man, but I also would not say that he was a modest man. And when I lived at 218 Kidder Street with my Aunt Sade, Sarah Agnes Lyons, who taught English at the University of South Dakota, Tom would frequently come for visits, and he would come down the stairs of that house, and there was a marvelous, it's a piece of furniture, I don't know the name of it, but you would hang your hat and your coat and your cane, and there was a mirror. And Tom would come down the stairs, and he would pause as soon as he saw his reflection in the mirror. He would look, and then he would go. I don't quite know what he meant, but what he saw pleased him. And he had many good stories, but I'll just give you one brief one that he used to titillate people at 218 Kidder Street with. And it went like this, as I recall. Yes, Judge, I killed them 2 women, because every time I spoke, the blonde, she said, all righty, and the other one, okey doke. Thank you.
When I was a little boy, I remember at Christmas time, we would get a package from Vermont of maple sugar. And the Robinsons shake their heads, you got a similar gift package. And Mark's mother, Jo Lyons Peisch, and husband Arch, always seemed to keep a very